May I remind you that trading is risky and not suitable for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Welcome to QuantBox Daily. Today is October 31st, Halloween. Welcome to a new week. All right, so let's take a look at QuantBox quickly across the board. Euro dollar. On Friday, we had a look at just exactly what makes up the score of -4, and we noticed that the only thing that's really positive is the trend reading. Now, currently, we've got price coming up above the daily 55, and that predicts a reversal pattern down below. We'll look at that in a moment. The technicals on QuantBox are predicting a move higher. We'll take a look at that in a moment. But in terms of all the fundamental data, currently nothing says bullish. Okay, so pay attention to that. So fundamentally bearish, technically according to QuantBox, bullish. We'll look at that in a moment. Okay, in terms of news, we got some low and high impact news coming out of the Eurozone today. Some more low and high impact news later on coming out of Austria and Spain. Some more low and high impact news later on, Spain, Italy, and Portugal. And then quite a bit high and medium coming out of the Euro area and Greece. Some more medium and high. So quite a bit of news this morning. And then some medium news out of the US later today. Some more medium and low out of the States later. Quite a bit of news on the docket today. Okay, cool. So keep an eye on that. With regards to retail sentiments, you can see there 49 long, 51 shorts. So everything giving us a really good idea of the fact that fundamentally Eurodollar is still bearish. Okay, it's just the trend reading, which is fine, because if we get that lower low, lower high we're looking for, then we have the perfect reason to sell Eurodollar. Looking at pound dollar, we can see that we are still bearish. We've got some retail sentiment coming in positive, but besides that, everything else is in the red, except for unemployment, which is 0. Okay, so no fundamental reason to be buying pound dollar. Trend reading is a 2. We'll take a look at the technicals in a moment. We've got some medium tier news coming out of the UK later on today, well, shortly. Some more low and medium tier news out of the pound and then the States later. And that's more towards the New York session. Retail sentiment 37 long, 63 short. But most importantly, everything on our fundamentals is saying sell pound dollar. It's just the trend reading technicals that shows a positive. So we'll take a look at that in a moment. And we'll see where the best opportunities lie in terms of between euro dollar and pound dollar. Looking at USD CAD, still a buy on USD CAD. Okay. Inflation showing a sell, interest rate showing a sell, everything else positive. We've got some CAD news later, low tier news. Some high impact CAD data coming out later, but that's more towards, that's 1 day's time. So nothing on the slate today for CAD. Then Aussie USD, still a sell. The only thing showing a positive is inflation, otherwise negative across the board. We've got Aussie data much later. That's in tonight's session, so I'm not going to go through that now because it won't affect the London session. In terms of Kiwi dollar, neutral. Okay, so we'll leave that alone. Our yen pairs, we've had neutrality for ages, right? So we still got neutrality. Looking at CAD yen, I see we got some issues on the data set over here. I'll get in touch with Wayne about that. But still looking null across the board. Euro yen still looking neutral. So our yen pairs still looking neutral. We've seen neutrality in the yen pairs for some time now. We've been waiting for some indication well, I mean, personally, I want to sell these yen pairs at some point in time because they're just so high. You look at yearly pivot points, we're way up. Some pairs even above the yearly R2. Perhaps there's an opportunity to take those down in January. We'll have to wait and see. But nothing standing out in the yen pairs so far as a bias is concerned. So really our opportunities lie in dollar pairs today. And I think the biggest opportunity probably being in the euro dollar Taking a look at euro dollar right now, we can see here that last week, you can see price breaking that 55, coming down slightly below the 100, okay? Price coming off this wick over here, the right-hand side, or kind of this wick, but we are sort of high over here. We had the profit-taking zone last week, price coming down, then Friday, price coming up and closing at this resistance on the left-hand side over here. You can see there, price closing at that resistance over there, all right? Now, we know that price breaking that 55, predicting price to move all the way back down could be a nice trade to go back down to the bottom of the range. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, you can see here the 4-hour candle coming up and closing at this resistance over here. All right, so if you saw this as a range, you can see the 4-hour candle closing at the bottom, sorry, top of that range, which is good for us. Currently in position for a sell, pivot points indicating a target of weekly M1. However, we haven't really got trending at the moment. It's more consolidation. However, that would be the target if you did sell up here. So looking at the H1 time frame, you can see lots of consolidation over here. So you want to verify the resistance that we've closed at. Now you can see price has subsequently come down and is currently ranging. So we would need to see a break of the range or a lower low, lower high on some time frame. We can see on the 15-minute time frame currently just going sideways, no lower lows, no lower highs, no trend to be seen. On the 5-minute charts, you can see price is bouncing, coming up at the bottom of this range over here. So you would want to see a break of the range, a lower low and a lower high. Otherwise, you tend to get stuck inside this low volatility. So be careful of that. But as I said, on the H4 time frame, we do have price coming up to that resistance, which is really, really great. We like that a lot. We just need to verify the trade on lower time frames. Okay. So when H1 closes at just before the market opens, pay attention where price closes. If price closes at the bottom of the range, you do not want to sell that. Okay. You might have to wait for price to come back up, and we look for that opportunity more towards New York. Okay. So keep an eye on euro dollar. Again, nice opportunity there. Are we going to come all the way down to the bottom of that range? We'll have to see what happens today. Looking at the Aussie USD, you can see here from a daily perspective, price not closing at resistance. Okay. Not as nice as the euro dollar setup. From an H4 perspective, price currently sitting below this 21. The 21.55 is dead. I wouldn't pay attention to that. I'm looking for price to close at resistance. Resistance up here, up here, up here, up here, weekly M3. Not liking where price is sitting right now. And of course, if you see a roll reversal on H1 or resistance H1, just verify that and confirm that on an M15 time frame or M5 time frame. Okay. Waiting for that. But it doesn't look as nice as the euro dollar because, again, on the daily time frame, you're closing down. You can see the support left-hand side. Not a massive fan of selling into support. Okay. So I'd like to see some bearishness in terms of price before I look at selling Aussie USD. And maybe today we come up and then tomorrow we go down. Have to pay attention to that. Just be very patient with this currency pair. Looking at the the pound dollar, okay, you can see pound dollar, we've got this little tiny consolidation on the daily time frame. You could see price closing up as price closing top of the range. That's fine. You can see here on the H4 time frame, the 4 o'clock candle, which is the bias candle for London, not closing at resistance, closing down. Okay, so we don't have any price closing at resistance in the H4 time frame. We are currently in a bearish sell zone. We've got this 21 EMA that price is currently riding, which is fine. It can do whatever it wants. As long as you verify the trade by getting a lower low, lower high, then everything's cool. So looking at the H1 time frame, look at that consolidation over there. Looking at M15, all you're looking for is a lower low, lower high. That's it. If you can get that, then you're hundreds. But I would like to see on some time frame, preferably H4, price closing at that resistance. And resistance could be in this situation, top of the range, a pivot point, anything that you identify as resistance, but making sure on a lower time frame, you are going to get that lower low, lower high, and just verify that price is moving down, pull back, 21, roll reversal, and then take it down, okay? Remember, you are consolidating. You don't want to get stuck inside this low volatility range that's going on right now. We were patient last week. It looks like patience is the order of the day this week as well. So looking at USD CAD, still sitting very much out of position at the moment. We did say on Friday, if you got price coming off of the profit-taking zone, you got the higher high, higher low, then you were absolutely cool to buy that. Now you can see on the H1 perspective, we haven't received a higher high, higher low so far as price closing at roll reversals is concerned. Price still very much consolidating over here. Looking at M15, you can see their price breaking up, not coming back down to roll reversals down here. Price sitting very much at the top of the range over here. Be careful of that situation. Notice how the higher high, higher low keeps you out of trouble and stops you from getting into trades that are low volatility, okay? So you're waiting for that higher high, higher low, but ultimately remind yourself that you are sitting very much out of position for a buy, okay? We've got some very big meetings coming up this week in the Fed and the BOE, so you want to pay attention to those. You don't want to rush. If the market is consolidating, I mean, it's waiting for more information. If it's not sure what it's doing, then how are you any wiser? The best way to identify that the market knows what it's doing is to look for a trend. Lower lows, lower highs, higher lows. Once you've got that trend, then you know that if price continues in that direction, you shouldn't be dealing with a boomerang trade. The more higher time frame you are when you identify that trend, the longer your trade is going to run for, okay? So ultimately, you could be identifying resistance on a daily or H4 time frame and verifying that in the lower time frames. And that resistance could be a roll reversal or the top of the range. But remember, if you're looking at top of the range or bottom of the range, then you are still trading a range. Be careful of trading ranges, right? It sucks up your liquidity. And low volatility is never a fun thing to trade. So make sure that you are trading a trade somewhere on your chart. So far as the rest of the pairs are concerned, we saw neutrality in the yens. We saw a buy in Kiwi yen, but I'm not looking to buy up here. Completely out of position, okay? I'm waiting for opportunities to take this down. You look at yearly pivot points, you'll see that you are so far above. Let's have a look and see here. Can we just pop this on in terms of yearly? Let's go true yearly. Look at that. So looking at yearly, the labels are incorrect, but let's take a look at this. Let's do this quickly. Let's take monthly off. You want to buy there? Not a chance. Okay, not a chance. Do you want to buy there? So I'm waiting for opportunities to sell the yen pairs. And you can see a number of the yen pairs are in the exact same position. Okay, so I'm waiting for fundamentals to turn bearish in the yen pairs. What I'm personally paying attention to today is euro dollar. I'm waiting for a break of this range, waiting for the lower low, lower high, and then looking to take this down to possibly the weekly target. We'll have to see how that works out. But again, I want to see a break of the range. Either price, I'm selling price up here at the top of the range at a market open, or I'm waiting for price to break out, pull back, roll reversal, and then down. Patience, patience, patience. Be careful this week. Lots of news coming out. We'll see how things develop between today and tomorrow. And I will let Wayne know that there is an issue with QuantBox reporting back on some seasonality data for the yen pairs. Okay. I wish you the best of luck today, guys. Stay safe, stay disciplined, stay focused, stay liquid. Talk to you tomorrow. Cheers.